Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic, and today a puzzle by Rockrad0, who we featured on the channel a week or two ago, and Rockrad0 was delighted by that. He hadn't recommended the puzzle, others had recommended it to us, but this one is coming from Rockrad0. He said it got a better reception on Logic Masters Germany than he was expecting, so this is great. Well, give it a go. I'll look at the rules in a moment. There's quite a lot of markings in the grid, which I like, because it sometimes implies that there's going to be a reasonable way through the puzzle in a reasonable time. It doesn't always, and some fascinating sort of fairly normal rules, but it's intriguing. We're going to give it a go in a moment. Now, don't forget on Patreon. Well, first of all, on the channel today, we had me doing a crossword masterclass for once, and if you're missing Simon's crossword masterclass, he was good enough before he went away today to record yesterday's puzzle. That's on Patreon, and it's the latest post on Patreon. Do check it out. There's all sorts of good stuff on Patreon, especially Blobs' rather brilliant Lord of the Rings Sudoku Hunt, which is this month's reward. Last month's reward solution video by Philip Bloomer, aka Glum Hippo. My crossword by my monthly club special crossword will be going up in a couple of days, by Richard Rogan, that puzzle, who sadly left us, and yeah, more tribute to him there. Now, that's on Patreon. There's all of our apps, which do feature line Sudoku and Domino Sudoku and Killer Sudoku, so lots of relevance to today's puzzle. Check out the link under the video. You can get 100 puzzles for $5.99. It's fantastic value, like some of the best constructors. You just can't beat that. Amazing. Anyway, you could perhaps beat our merch, but only if you liked somebody else's branding more than ours. I can't believe that would happen. But get our merch and get Sven's Sudoku Pad, all on the links under the video. But the first link is to That's All the X's by Rockrad0. Here come the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply, 1 to 9 in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. No digit repeats along a marked diagonal, so that is a set of the digits 1 to 9. These are the blue diagonals. Digits in cages sum to the indicated value, so those 3 digits add up to 12. Digits on a purple line. Each line in this puzzle contains 5 cells. So this isn't 2 lines. Each of the purple X's is a single line. Digits on a purple line form a set of consecutive digits in any order. And digits in cells connected by X sum to 10. Now this is interesting. There's a rule that is not in the puzzle that you might expect from the title. The title is That's All the X's. But the rules do not state that every one of these 10 X's is marked. Oh, where it says digits in cells connected by X sum to 10, let's just clarify. That's the black X's. It wouldn't make any sense to say that these cells sum to 10, so they don't. It's not the purple X's. But I mean, there's a lot of X's in the puzzle. I mean, there's a big blue X, and it's not true for that one either. Anyway, those are the rules. They're fairly clear. They're fairly obvious if you've done our puzzles on our apps or across our videos for any length of time at all, but they do need explaining for some people, and I am going to try and start this puzzle. I think this would be a good one to try if you're fairly new to variant Sudoku. That's my guess. We'll see how it pans out. You can now look at the length of the video and scoff at me. Right, the 10 cage is a 1, 2, 3, 4, because that's the only way of making up 10 with 4 different digits. And the 30 cage, symmetrically opposite it, is 9, 8, 7, 6. Now, I'm just wondering if the only symmetry breaker is the 12 cage. It's not, because 12 and 16 aren't equal. But it looks like the black X's are positioned rotationally symmetrically to me. I don't know. We'll find out as we go, I dare say. No, they're not. That's different from that one. So, okay, that theory wasn't right either. Anyway, now, how do we proceed having started like that? I'll tell you what we could do is low and high marking. I'll try that. I don't know if this is going to go anywhere, but if I make the digits from 1 to 4 low, and 6 to, sorry, they are already low. If I make them blue and I make the 6 to 9 ones orange, this digit is low. It can't be a 5, and it's not any of 6 to 9, and it's on an X. That's why it can't be a 5. So that will then connect to high digits on the X. This is orange, and these are blue. Now this might peter out at exactly this point. And it looks like it does, in fact. So I don't quite know where I was going with that anymore. I mean, it implies that there are blue digits, at least some on these X's. Each of these X's is 5 cells. They must all have the number 5 on, because any sequence of 5 consecutive digits that are legal has a 5 in it. That is not a very powerful... Oh, well, the 5 has to avoid X's, actually. So in this box, it's not in any of those positions. That's quite interesting. So there is a 5 in one of those two. This 5, yeah, similarly there. It can't be in any of those, and it's in one of those. Now, what does that mean in box 2 and 8? Ah, this 13 cage is now restricted to 2 possibilities. Oh, and that's an X-wing on 5s, meaning that the 5 in column 5 has to be in box 5, and it can't be on an X, and it goes in the middle of the grid. And that's in a 12 cage, so we get a 7, and then on the X we get a 3. And we have made a little start. Oh, and we've got 3 blue digits on the diagonal already. Yeah, these two are going to have to be 1 blue and 1 orange between them to make the count on this negative diagonal correct. That's interesting. Okay, the 13 cage now is seeing a 7 and a 5, so that's a 4-9 pair. This digit on the X is 1 or 6 to make up that 10 pair. I could colour 7 and 3 if it was... I don't know if this colouring is really worth anything, but might as well keep it going for the moment. 4, 9, 7, 5. So these other X's in the same column are 1, 2, 3, 6 or 8. Okay, what's this one in a box where it sees 7, 5 and 3? Oh, that's annoying. It doesn't rule out any of those, even given its partner in crime on the X, which is 9, 8, 4 or 2, I think. And this one could even be a 3, which that one at least couldn't be. Not getting very far. 5s didn't seem to be as restricted on these two X's. They're kept out of those cells by the X's, and they must appear. They are an X-wing, but it's not a relevant or useful X-wing because we've already got the 5 in the central box. Okay, we've got 4, 9. Ah, if that was a 9, this purple X would be very constrained. It would have to be 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. We'd have 1 here and 4 here. This would be a 2, 3 pair. Now, we do not have a rule about a negative constraint to work with, despite the fact that the title implies it might exist for the black X's, which is a pity, because that would probably go some way towards solving this box. And it may turn out to be true in the end that all the black X's have been given. I mean, we'll have a look at the end, but we can't know at the moment, I don't think. So 7 on, oh, can that be 7? Oh, these are going to be the same digit. I'm instantly wondering if that is at least going to rule out a 9 from this cell. Let's think about 7 though, because it would be nice to rule out 7. Well, I don't know, would it help to place 7 in one of those cells? Maybe it wouldn't. Maybe it wouldn't. Okay, let's go back to thinking about this on the X diagonal. Ah. Oh, that's very interesting. This is definitely an extreme diagonal. An extreme Renban. by which I mean it's either got a 9 or a 1 in it, because it is either a 9 in this cell, in which case this is 98765 on the Renban, or it's a 4 in the cell, in which case 6 is off the Renban, and the Renban would then have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this set of digits are also therefore extreme. They're either 6 to 9 or 1 to 4. That's quite an interesting finding and rather unexpected. But again, I don't know quite what it means for us. Let me just think about whether this cell also has a similar restriction. If it's a 1, it's clearly an extreme Renban. If it's a 2, that's an 8. No, it doesn't work as well. It could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 then. And if it's a 3, it could even have a 7 on. I was hoping that if this is 1 or 2, 7 must end up in one of those. Well, it must literally end up there, actually. That's quite interesting. If this is 1 or 2, that is the only place 7 can go in the box. It couldn't go on the X because of the Renban rules, and it couldn't go in the column because of the 7 here. Now, we've also got 4 and 9 looking at those cells. So 4, 7 and 9 have to find their way into those cells or onto the X. If 9 goes on the X, then 4 has to be in one of these cells, because the X will be 98765. If 4 goes onto the X, then what? That's less. Well, then 9 does go into one of these cells. Oh, that's really interesting. So whichever one of 9, 4 doesn't, they can't be in those cells. Whichever one doesn't end up on the X must go into one of these. That would be even more interesting if it couldn't be there, because then this would have to be 9 or 4 and that would be 1 or 6. Something's going on. Maybe it's not about that, but that felt like a singular concern. Now, we've got a 5 in one of those cells. Oh, can either of these be high? 1 digit in this 12K could be high. You could even have a high digit and a 5, as long as the 5 was there and this was a 6-1 pair. But one of these, at least, is low, because that can't be a 5-6 pair, because there's a 5 up here. So one of those two is low. One of those two is low. If this was the high digit, those are both low. That's quite interesting. It's all, oh, maybe I can work the same trick down here. Right. Oh, look, of course. I've got a high digit on this X. Oh, this is massive. I'm so slow. I worked out this was an extreme X, and I didn't see the implication of already having a high digit on it. Right, let me just take you through that again. If this was 4, that would be 6. Then you can't put 7, 8, or 9 on the X. And what can that be? There is nothing. So that is not 4. That is a 9. Ah, that was clear. Oh, I was not quick with that. Well done if you spotted that before me. Good work. Good work. Now, this digit is 2 or 4 by Sudoku now. We can't have a 9 in those cells. We've also got 98765 on the X, on the purple X here. These two can't be 5s, so I'm failing to clear those out. They're linking to blues, which are 1, 2, or 3, because we've had 4 there. So these can't be 6s. These also can't be 1s, because we've had 9 in the box. So they are a 2, 3 pair. That digit is now 7 or 8. And that means 1 and 2 can't be on this X, doesn't it? 2, 3, 4, 8, 7. Right, 6, 9 can't go there because they're in this box, so they go here. Going to keep colouring for the time being. That's a 1, 5 pair. This, well, I don't know what these are, but they come from 2, 3, 4 and form a triple. And they stop this being 7, 2, 3 or 4 or 7. It can't be 1 because of that. It's not actually that helpful. It could still be 5, so I can't even colour it. Oh, we've got 3 on the diagonal, so that's a 2. Well, that's pretty helpful. 8 there, 7, 3, 7 to coin a plane. That's a 2, 4 pair. Right, 7 on the diagonal, that wasn't the digit I really wanted. 5, 6 down here, so we can't have a 6 in those cells. Now, this can't be 6, 4 or 2, 8 or 9, 1, so it is 3, 7. That's going to take 7 out of those two. That takes 8 out of those. 8, 9, 5, 6, 3, 7 in this row. 1, 2, 4 to place. So that's a 2. Yeah, I'm just checking my eliminations there. We get a 1 in the corner. Now, this 16 cage is either 1, 7, 8 or 1, 3, 12. Which version do you think is right? I agree. Let's put in the 7 and 3. This is a 4, 5 pair, but we've had 5 on the diagonal, so we know which way they go. I'm not colouring anymore. I don't think it's worth it. Events may prove me wrong, but all I would then have to do is go back and start colouring boxes 7, 8, 9. I'm not going to do it until I'm forced. That's not 2 or 4. This now is therefore 1 or 2. This diagonal only needs high digits. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to colour them. And that's blue, therefore. 2 blues on the same X, unsurprising. Now, we were only allowed 1 high digit in this row. No, in those 2 cells. Because this box can't sustain 2. So that's low. It's not 5 because 5's in one of those. That's low. That's therefore the other high digit in the box. I should probably know. Well, we've got a 7 looking there. In fact, that digit is whatever that is, because it's the only one not on the diagonal in box 3. So that's now 8 or 9, going with a 1 or a 2. 6 and 7 are in these. Now, 6 there. Right, we can't have a 9 there, because this isn't allowed to be 1 by Sudoku. This is now 2 or 4. This is 1 or 4 by Sudoku, so this is 6 or 9. And this is the same digit, 1 or 4, as that. Oh, that can't be 8. Just very ordinary Sudoku. And in fact, sorry, I'm in the wrong mode. So that's 9, that's 1, and I could have done that 1 by noticing that 2 as well. Now we have a 3, 6, 8 triple up here, including on the X. The X is therefore touching 7, 4, or 2, which oddly aren't ruled out yet. But now, we've either got a 1 or a 2 on this X, or even both, in these 2 cells. And therefore, we can't have an 8 on the X. It just won't stretch up that far. So that's 3 or 6. This is 4 or 7. I suspect it's not 7. But now, let's think about this diagonal, which I haven't thought about in a while. We've got a definite low digit here. I don't know quite how I established that. How did I know this was low? Well, I don't know. When let me just be careful here. When did I rule anything into this cell? It's not because of the diagonal. Okay, what if I don't trust my pencil marks in this cell? Okay, so we'll just take it handy. I don't want to make a mistake at this point. Let's just chase this 5 actually. It can't go there, so it's in one of those 2 cells. So in box 3, it's in one of those 2 now. This is interesting because, well, oh no, that's just somewhere between 1 and 5. That's not that interesting. Well, that petered out in a hurry. But 5 has to be on this X. And it can't be there because of the central 5 or in those because of this one. So it's in one of those cells and it's not there, and we place it in box 1 at least. 5 has to be on this X. Right, we've got an X-wing. Appropriate in a puzzle which has all the X's. So 5's in one of those cells because there has to be a 5 in this sequence. It can't be there because of that. So now it's in column 7 or 9 here, just as it is here. And now it must be in column 8 here. So that's a 5. That's a 1. Maybe that doesn't do anything else, frustratingly. Although 1 can't be on this X because of that, on this Renban because of that 7. So 1 must now be in one of those 2 cells in the box. If that's a 1, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Renban. If it's a 4, it's not so clear-cut. These are all high. I did say I wasn't going to do the colouring, but apparently I am sometimes. Okay, I've been forced to go back and do the colouring, I think, in this box. Let's do those blue and those orange. And that's orange and that's blue. It might yield something that I'm just not missing. I'm just not seeing at the moment. Right, in this row, we can't have any highs here because the 4 highs are gone in this box. So the 4 highs in the row are there, and those 2. So that's not a 3, that is a high. So the colouring's actually helping. In fact, these 2, one is orange and one is blue. I wish I knew 4 was on this. This won't work as a 6 because that would be 4 on the X, and that's in the box, not on the purple X. And then how could you bridge towards 1 or 2 from a 6 without using 4? You couldn't. So that's 3. There we go. So this one's high. The 3 itself is low. The digit it's touching is high and is a 7. And now we've got a 6-8 pair here. We need 9 in this box and it can't go on the X by Renban rules. So that's the 9. That leaves us with a 6-8 pair here. This is going to finish us off, I think. 9, 1, 7. We can add up this cage now and put in 4. Then we get a 5 here. Then we've got, I think, a 2, 1 pair at the start of the row. That gives us 4, 3. That's not a 9. In fact, 9, 1. It's not a 7 either. This is a 6-8 pair. This is a 2, 5 pair that I cannot actually disambiguate yet, but that does disambiguate this cell for me, which resolves this one. That's a 7. This 6 has now sorted out the 8s and 6s in these top 3 rows entirely. 8, and that looks like a 2, 3 pair. I suppose I could colour them. Wow, this is great. Right, 7 is looking down here. Now, I haven't looked at the negative diagonal for a while. I seem to have completely finished the positive one. Negative one says 8, 7, 3, 5, 9, 4. The 1 is there. It needs a 2 and a 6 in those cells. This is a 4 and an 8. Colour, colour, colour. Oh, these remaining cells in column 4 and 6 are only going to be done when I get rows 4 and 6 more complete. Fair enough. 1 or 7 there. 4 or 7 here. Now, on the X. Well, let's do these. 3, 1, 5, 4, 7. We've got 2, 8 left, which do form pairs, and 6, 9, which don't. 2, 8. That's 6 or 9. Now, we've got 2 on the X. We can't have 7 on it, so that's a 4. 1, 7. Oh, look, there was an X telling me which way round that went anyway. Didn't spot that, did I? Now, this X has got a 1 on it, this Renban X, so I can put 5 and 3 on it. Okay, since I've got this far, I might as well be completing all the colouring in the puzzle. That's 6 or 9. Now we've got to go over to this X. This digit is 3 or 6 by Sudoku, and this isn't allowed to be 7. So we put 6 there. Okay, I'm doing some colouring. Don't shout at me. There's a bunch of blue. Okay, in this column, that is a 2. It's naked now. So that goes there. We've got a 1-8 pair here. They must be done. They are. 7, 6, 8 on the Ren band so far. Well, it looks plausible. That 2 has unwound columns 4 and 6 for me. So I shall do that before I go. Oh, what have I done there? Before I go back to rows 4 and 6. That's orange. That's now definitely orange. That's definitely blue. That's blue. Okay, this is orange. 6 or 9. It must be a 9 in the box and the column indeed. And that's going to finish off all my 6 9s over that side. Now, this is a 5 and no colour. This is the last coloured cell, and it's a 3, and that completes the puzzle. And now, oh, look at that time, 22, 22. Well, that's all the 2s in a puzzle that's called That's All the X's. And what I was going to do was check to see whether all the X's are marked, because I suspect that if that's the case, Rockrat0 decided not to include it as a rule because it wasn't necessary, although he had the option. I haven't found any. Let's see, you could highlight the 1s and see if they're touching 9s, and everywhere they do, there should be an X. It looks like that is obeyed. And then we do the 2s and see where they're touching 8s, and do they have an X every time, and it looks like they do. I don't think we're going to find one rogue pair somewhere. Not in a puzzle with a certain degree of symmetry about it, I think. 3s touching 7s. Yeah, they have X's in rows 2 and 4, and down in row 7, column 7, and in row 9. And 4s touching 6s. Yeah, there are no rogues here. So the rule set could have stated that all possible black X's are given. It didn't, because it didn't need to, and it was a very elegant solve, so I think that was a great decision. But you could have risked it. Yeah, it turns out on this occasion, there will be occasions where you cannot risk assuming a rule that isn't there. So my advice to you is don't. And my advice to Rockrat0 is that is a wonderful puzzle. Thank you for sending it. Thank you for following along with us, for being involved with the channel in any way. We utterly respect you for doing that, and so do all your peers. We'll be back again with more variant Sudoku tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.